In this week's channel message from the angels, they are explaining what you might be feeling right now, which is that we are in the process of decoupling from our current reality. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so glad you are here. Thank you so much for joining me. And to those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. And I do that by raising my awareness. I go into a deep meditative state or trance. And then from that state, I raise my awareness up as high as I can go. I go a little bit higher, I connect, and then messages and information come through. And I share it here with you guys on YouTube. So this week's message is they're talking about how we are going through this process that we are carrying a higher energy, which we have not yet integrated. And it's kind of like, see, we're wearing it like a coat. So we're getting the benefit of it to some degree, but eventually we will integrate it. And then when we do that, we will have reached that higher state of consciousness. But they're saying in the meantime, we are kind of going in and out, in and out, in and out. And that's what you may be feeling. You may be feeling like you're doing great, feeling amazing, and then feeling like dog poop, and then feeling great, and then not so good. So that's the process that we're going through energetically. And they describe it and help us to understand what this piece of this experience is like for us. They're also telling us that on the horizon, like it's already been a polycrisis, but they're saying buckle up, there's more on the horizon. And that negativity and polarity is like gravity it's going to be very, very hard not to be sucked in. And they're trying to describe how we are meant to try to find our way through the polarity so that we can stay in that higher state of consciousness. So it's a fabulous message. I think you guys are going to love it. So just a quick reminder before I share the message that those of you who are in Soul Convergence right now to be aware that our Activate Your Gifts program is starting on the 13th of July. So know that's coming up. Just make sure you have it on your calendars. And then for those of you who did want to do Soul Convergence, who haven't yet, don't worry. We will start it again in September. So I'll be giving you guys plenty of notice when that comes. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoy the message.
Great blessings, beings of light, we bring to you. We draw to you now an enshroudment of light you carry, though hesitatingly. You carry this when an alignment of your truth coexists within your alignment to self. You feel harmony, an announcement within your own plan for existence where coherence evolves. We wish to play out within the mind of your own self the thought of transformation and how it shall arrive. We wish to draw to you now an understanding of how and where things shall form on the horizon. The decoupling of this now and current parameter and existence is happening with greater frequency. A greater disalignment is occurring from you now. Your heart space is activated. The current of your own frequency is in evolution and vibrates more harmoniously with your future now. The triumphant self within is evolving and moving toward the gateway of the here and now as it is evolving into your future. We wish to share with you the concurrent dissonance you may be feeling within the space you are now and where you are going, the great frequency of light that you are endowed with, you carry like a mantle, like a coat. You wear it now as something external to your heart, and it will move in, and you may become yourself in increasing frequency and find yourself vibrating higher as time moves forward. You may feel your heartbeat as irregularly focused, as if the self that you are is immobilized in some distance and re-energized in others, as if you stop and start and cannot find your pace evenly. And within these times of relaxation, when the pace seems off, you may find yourself modulated to a frequency of fearful prospects, fearsome and notorious external horizons. For at this time of separating, all does exhaust itself, and the timeline on your horizon does generate a greater and increasing frequency of chaos, and this shall come into the forefront more and more often with greater occurrences, and you shall feel yourself at these times pulled apart from the haven of your own well-wishing. You may find yourself hesitatingly performing the rituals of a life guided by spirit, and see yourself falling, crumbling into the depth of hatred, despair, suffering, agony, of things you do not feel are in alignment with your truth. But these polarizing attitudes of your current reality are like gravity that well up and devour that which passes near. And we wish to advise you to claim you for yourselves, to feel within the hatred that evolves, within the announcement of such revolution and chaos, of such transformative experiences. Do not be drawn in to those torturous thoughts of polarizing nature. Feel yourselves in alignment with all beings. Do not take sides. Do not feel yourself pulled into the mix. Be of a mind, of a placement of your heart that all are equal and held in love. All beings should and will be allowed to transmute their darkest thoughts, to draw themselves forward onto a journey of clearly felt harmony. We wish to exclude no one, neither they who perpetrate the great evil, nor those who are in opposition to said forms of action. We wish instead to draw all forms of life back to their center, to remind them of your pure soul as one being, and to draw from this a truth that brings equality back into your perspective of each other, and reminds one another that beauty exists in all creatures. And this we have found to be a difficult task when you are undergoing the deepest of transformations. For all that is unearthed is not gentle, and there is yet darkness of an evil sort that exists within the hearts of humans. This must be reflected in the chaos that will be seen. But loving energy balances all agony, all distrust, all violence, comes into terms with itself upon the table that is graced with love. If you can be the center point held in faith for yourself, if you can but find the polarizing dust settle to reveal your own passage through, be held in your own heart without fear. Do not get pulled into the dividing prospects of your near future. Fear not what shall occur, nor what shall be metered out from one upon another. See yourselves as in dialogue with a human that is always at once, as a beingness that exists for one purpose, and that is to love itself completely in all its forms and maladies. Find your inner heartbeat and allow this truth to guide you. Allow yourself to heal your own division from each other. Fear not your disgust or revulsion for what shall occur. Fear not your own triumphant gaze upon the misfortunes of those who meet their justice. Instead, relinquish these polarizing thoughts for the peace within your own form and find your truth in injustice, in pure thought, in revolution, in all things of expression, always at once. You find your harmony and the pathway is made clear. Be in peace with all that is. Be in faith with your own truth. Hear your own heartbeat. Judge nothing. Judge no one. Hear instead your own placement upon this earth as a beacon of light, as a beacon of faith, and trust your way forward. Your pathway is near. Be open to the vibrations within you. Allow yourself to be reached. And within the space of the beyond of conjecture, you will find yourselves reunited into the trust of one another, and all forms shall be met in equality.
All right. So I love this message. I love that this feels like there's messages in here. There's simple things in here that we've heard times before, like judge nobody, right? Be in love everyone equally. Like these are things we're told over in a million different ways, but they add so much to the conversation, right? They say it so clearly and they bring in so many different layers for us to understand it, not just at this simple level, which is like, love thy neighbor, but in these deeper levels of understanding the what's happening energetically, what's happening to us as energy beings, so that we really understand why it's important and what it's doing. And then these other layers, which is that other person who we might be looking at and judging and saying, wow, I don't want that person to be president or whatever it is, right? That person is also us. That all of humanity is truly one person, as if each of us is just a cell inside of one body. So we literally, if we hate another person, we are hating ourselves. And that's why this whole process we're on right now of learning to love ourselves, learning to heal ourselves, it's like everything happens from the inside out. We heal ourselves by loving and integrating all aspects of who we are, hiding nothing, pushing away nothing, rejecting nothing, allowing all of ourselves to be integrated. And then we have to turn around and share that love with all of humanity and gradually pull everybody back. And they're not saying that it's okay to do evil things. They are not saying that, right? They're saying that even those beings that we would judge, like that are the darkest of the dark, right? That are really in a space of mind where who knows how they got there, from their own trauma, from their own, whatever happened in their world, they got to a place where they're genuinely trying to hurt other people. And they said, yeah, there is dark stuff happening on the planet, but they said even those beings can be brought back to their center. And that's the goal, is to get them to heal all of that and bring them back to zero, so that they have the chance to start again, because it's just like us. It's just like, what is your darkest thing? Like, what is the thing about you that you fear the most, that you worry about the most, that you dislike the most? Even that part of you deserves to be loved, right? And when it's loved, it's brought back to your center, right? And all the emotion, that polarization that you feel about it is released. And what you have left is just the pure expression of you. And that's what we're meant to do for ourselves, and then turn around and do it for all of humanity. Right? It's a super cool message, you guys. Super, super cool. You say, Rodney says, wow, just love it. Yeah, me too. So let's break it down and talk about it in pieces. There's a lot. I mean, like I feel like the wording that they're using now, that it's a blend between the angels and the mother of creation, I feel like the words are just somehow that's a little clearer, or so maybe that's just me, but I feel like they're a little clearer, easier to understand on the first go, but there's still those layers of depth. So I love to talk about it with you guys. And I feel like I get a lot more understanding by doing that. So hopefully you do too. So let's break it down. All right. And hi, Sherry. Thank you for joining us. So here's where we go. They start out, great blessings, beings of light, we bring to you, we draw to you now an enshroudment of light you carry, though hesitatingly. You carry this when an alignment of your truth coexists with your alignment to self. Right? So this is an interesting statement. So they're saying that we have already access to these, to extra light, to a higher vibration, right? That this is with us already, but it's kind of near us or on us and not really in us yet. And they're saying that we carry it, but we feel it most when we have an alignment between what we want, right? And our truth. So it's an alignment to yourself and an alignment to your truth. When those things coexist, when they are together, when what we want is in alignment with our truth. So in other words, there are times that we want things that are maybe not in our highest self might not approve of, right? Maybe we want things out of fear. You know, maybe there's things that we think we need because we're afraid that if we don't have them, we won't be okay. So we worry about being judged by this or that, so that we think we need to have the latest shoes, right? Or maybe we think we want someone to, in a moment of negativity, we wish someone harm, right? And when our highest self would say, no, that's not okay. So but then in those periods where you're really wishing for your highest and best, when you're saying, wow, I really wish my gifts would come in so I could help heal others, that's in alignment with your higher self. Right? That's when this energy comes in. So the periods where our wishes for ourselves and our highest self are in alignment. Yeah. That's when we feel this highest energy. That's when it's almost like that comes in and then boom, we get this. And I think that's why they're describing this polarization where we sometimes feel like we're doing amazing and sometimes where we feel like we're down in the dumpster. And I think it's because when we are in alignment, we get this bonus boost. So we have a higher high than we used to, which makes our low feel lower, right? It may be the same old low we always had. It's just now we're accustomed to a higher high that we're getting from this boost, from this new energy that's coming in that we can only feel when we're in alignment. Yeah. Super cool. Then the finish of this paragraph, they say, so you feel this when an alignment of your truth coexists with your alignment to self. You feel harmony, an announcement within your own plan for existence where coherence evolves. So an announcement within your own plan for existence. So what is it that you plan for yourself? What is your plan for your day, for your life, for your, what do you want to achieve with your life? What are your goals? And do they align with your goals for your highest truth? And where those two are coherent, that's where this energy comes in. And these are interesting questions because many of you know, it's very easy in our lives to form plans that are not at all an expression of who we are on the inside. So when I was in high school, I wanted to be James Bond. I wanted to travel around and do stuff and not a spy, but I had this picture in my head that was not grounded in reality. That was very much a kid's perspective of life of oh, that would be fun. I want adventure and fun. And, when I was really little, I wanted to be an archaeologist and a writer. I thought if I was an archaeologist, I would have something to write about. And it was only because King Tut's tomb had been on had been going around and so I was really mesmerized with the idea of the fun. I think I'd seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I thought, oh, fun, adventure, that's what I want. And, it's not at all in alignment with my plan, what my actual plan for my life was, but that's what I thought I wanted. So when I graduated, I went into the corporate world and, for a big multinational, for Microsoft. And so I was going down a path towards realizing my plans for adventure and all this kind of stuff. And it's not at all where I was meant to go. And so we have those missteps in life where we're I'm headed to chase a thing that's a picture that I was given by, maybe just not perceiving, or maybe it was given to us by the movies or by our culture or whatever, right? But at what point did my plan evolve and come into alignment with my truth. And when that happened, boom, this energy comes in and lifts me up. Yeah. Yeah, so interesting. And Gail says, it's like any journey, we can get waylaid from the goal by the sirens. Yes, like the sirens from Homer's Odyssey. Yeah, but we still need to stay the course and seek home. Beautiful. And Doss says, hello, beautiful souls from Chicago. Yes, what a beautiful message. Just what I needed to hear. Love it. Awesome. Excuse me. Okay, so next paragraph, they say, we wish to play out within the mind of your own self the thoughts of transformation and how it shall arrive. We wish to draw to you now an understanding of how and where a thing shall form on the horizon. So, and it's so interesting the way they use that word, a thing that shall form. So it's like there's what is occurring. How will transformation arrive, and what will it look like on our horizon? Their decoupling of this now and current parameter and existence is happening with greater frequency. So here, existence is like your existence or your awareness. They're saying that there is a decoupling of this now moment. Your now moment is decoupling from your existence or from your awareness. Your awareness is starting to pull away from the now moment, is what they're saying. So you're starting, it's like you're drifting into the new state of consciousness, is what they're trying to say here. It is happening with greater frequency. So it's not like a one-time thing. It's happening and not happening, happening and not happening. And then they say a greater misalignment is occurring from you now. Your heart space is activated. The current of your own frequency is an evolution and vibrates more harmoniously with your future now. So this is because we are embodying more light, right? We are healing. We are opening up to our higher selves. So as this happens, our heart space is now becoming activated, then that puts us more in alignment with the future than we are with the now. So we start to decouple from the now, but not entirely. So we're kind of drifting. We're in this weird drifty space is what they're describing. Yeah. And Chris says, it's true. I can feel the transformation so close, touching, but not yet incorporated. What a gift to humanity. Yeah, isn't that amazing, Chris? I feel it too. Yeah, it's really interesting to feel the, like, in, out. Yeah, so interesting. All right, then they go on to say, the triumphant self within is evolving and moving toward the gateway of the here and now as it is evolving into your future. And so that's, I think, an interesting statement, is the gateway of the here and now. So it's like the gateway of the here and now, I think, is like as if to say that every moment is renewed. Every moment is a new moment of existence. And so we're standing at the gateway. Every minute you're standing at the gateway creating our reality, right? But then they're saying that the gateway is evolving into your future. So it's like the gate that we're standing in is changing all the time. So sometimes you think you're looking at the same world, but you're actually looking at a higher vibration world. And then sometimes you're standing at the gateway and you're looking at the old world. And it's all going to be dependent on what vibration we are holding. This really brings to me this idea that we can be standing in a space and experiencing it totally differently based on our vibration. Like we cohabitate with, for example, say the elementals, right? That there could be other types of beings that live in the exact same space that we occupy, but we don't see them because they're at a different frequency. So it makes sense that as you are shifting in and out of this higher frequency and you're standing at the gate of the now and you're looking out into your reality, sometimes you're going to be in the state of the old vibration, feeling like you're in the doldrums and you're going to see the old world. And then sometimes it's going to look the same, but it's going to be like, wow, I'm just in a really good mood and everything's going my way. And it's a different world, right? And that's kind of what they're describing here, that's the space we're in, which is, it's amazing to be conscious of that, right? To feel that and recognize, wow, this transition is really happening. It's really exciting. So, and they say the triumphant self within, right? I love that. So it's like, yeah, you're doing it. Yeah, super cool. And then they say, we wish to share with you the concurrent dissonance you may be feeling within the space you are now and where you are going. So at the same time, concurrent, right, a dissonance that you might feel like when you're in the higher state or in the lower state, you might feel like just that whole idea of like dissonance is where it doesn't meet your expectations. Like, what is going on here? Why did I feel this one minute and this the other minute? And Linda says, it's nice to know the in and out is normal. Yeah, totally. And Marjorie says, I feel it like pulsing into the new moment. Oh, how interesting. That is very interesting. So maybe you're really tuning in to the frequency, that new frequency. Marjorie, that's very interesting. All right. So then they go on to say, next paragraph, the great frequency of light that you are endowed with, you carry like a mantle, like a coat. So this new energy coming in, like we have it, but it's not inside all the way. It's kind of on us. So we're getting the benefit. It's like standing next to the light as opposed to being in the light. So we still get the glow, right? It's still helping us, but we're not like totally in it. Yeah. And they say you wear it now as something external to your heart, and it will move in. So that's the distance. When we get to that higher state permanently, that light will come inside of us permanently. They say, and you may become yourself in increasing frequency and find yourself vibrating higher as time moves forward. So more and more often we will be able to embody that and live in that higher state, at a higher frequency. Next paragraph, they say, you may feel your heartbeat as irregularly focused. And I really love, like, think about what they're saying there, your heartbeat as irregularly focused. So that in the new state of consciousness, we navigate not from here, but from here. We're navigating from our heart. So, and we are amplifying who we are from, with each heartbeat, projecting that out into our reality, creating our reality. They are not saying that your mind, right? But we're not, so in the new reality, we create from our hearts. And that's kind of like the ticket to get in to the new state of consciousness, is we have to move from here to here. And once we are in here, then our heartbeat is dictating what our reality becomes. So you may feel, but you might feel that heartbeat is irregularly focused. Sometimes we can hold it, sometimes we can't, right? That's what they're saying here. But I really like they made the distinction. It's not your thoughts, it's your heartbeat. As if the self that you are is immobilized in some distance and re-energized in others. In other words, so like it's that feeling that stop and start, just like you were saying. Yeah, the in and out, exactly. And if you stop and start and cannot, as if you stop and start and cannot find your pace evenly. And within these times of relaxation, when the pace seems off, you may find yourself modulated into a frequency of fearful prospects. So this is the really the warning or the awareness they want to bring to us, is that we are in this process of going back and forth, but we are in a state of the polycrisis, and they're saying that it's going to get a little worse, maybe a lot worse. There's going to be a lot of craziness happening in the world. There already has been craziness, but they're saying that there's going to be a lot of things around us that could put us into a state of fear, and then also into a state of polarity. So things that will trigger us. It's just going to be highly activated. And so as we're going through this process, how do we try to move more and more into our higher state? They go on to say, fearsome and notorious external horizon. So stuff happening outside of you that is fearsome and notorious. This can be true, and it has been true. And you know, the way you can turn the news off, but it's out there for sure. It's really out there. For at this time of separating, all those exhaust themselves, the things that are fearful and notorious. During this time of separating, all the junk that has to come up and be expressed is coming up. That this is a process of the earth clearing herself and humanity clearing itself. So all the stuff that's been hidden and repressed is coming up to the surface to be felt. And that shows up as natural disasters. That shows up as violence to each other. That shows up in a bunch of different ways. It's literally like all of it's rising to the surface. And it's because we're in this process of separating. We have to clear it in order for humanity and the earth to evolve to a higher state of consciousness, right? So then they say, all those exhaust themselves, and the timeline on your horizon does generate a greater and increasing frequency of chaos. And this shall come into the forefront more and more often with greater occurrences. So we just need to know that there's going to be crazy out there. And it doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen on your front porch, but it's out there, and it's really easy for us to get sucked into it. And that's kind of what they're describing. And they go on to say, and Gail says, I have noticed more and more people are willing to speak about energy as spiritual awareness. I love the idea of our heartbeat dictating our thoughts. I have noticed that big time. Where these days talking about energy is nobody thinks that's weird. Well, the people will just say, oh yeah, the energy was weird there. I didn't want to go in. Or that person has great energy, right? That's how we talk about things now, which I think is marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. Oh my gosh, you guys. I had so something fun happened. I went to go see a movie the other day, and it was like a totally mainstream, super mainstream movie, like a dude action movie. And I just cannot remember the name of it, but it was Will Smith and another guy, and they're like cops and doing cop things and blowing up things and shooting things. So hilarious. The very beginning of the movie, the partner has a near-death experience. And then this is the consistent plot line throughout the entire movie. And this is like, take your traditional like Terminator type movie, Hollywood blockbuster movie. Near-death experience is like the main plot line, and it's all about him saying like, oh, it's love and one soul. And like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Like, I was loving it. And yeah, to see that enter the mainstream, and given the way that they treated it in the movie, is they kind of did it a little bit tongue-in-cheek. So that way it's like acceptable to everyone. But they did it, and they meant it, right? And you know they meant it because from the narrator's perspective in the movie, that what the guy said was true, right? It's just that the partner was like skeptical, like, what are you talking about? That's a bunch of, malarkey or whatever. But that was the main thread. And yeah, so talk about it coming into the mainstream, right? Wow, wow, wow. It was not long ago that when people would have near-death experiences and they would come out and they would tell their doctor, like there's one person, I know her story, she was literally committed to a hospital, psychiatric institution for like 2 weeks because she told someone, like a doctor, about her near-death experience. Right. And now it is in a Will Smith movie. Like, how cool is that? How incredibly cool is that? Yeah. Oh, and Edie is saying Bad Boys. Yes, exactly. That is so funny. I know. That's exactly the movie. Yeah. So funny. And Ursa saying the angels seem to be the mantle. And once we embrace the angels as part of us, they can integrate their higher frequency into our reality. Oh, I love that. Yes. I think that is beautiful. And whether it's funny, like, is it the angels or is it our higher self? I'll have to think about that or feel about that. I'll have to feel about that one. It's a good question. What is that? What is providing us? I mean, we know the angels are part of it, that they're helping us. They're bringing it to us. I know that for sure. All right. So next paragraph, they say, and you shall feel yourself at times pulled apart from the haven of your own well-wishing. You may find yourself hesitatingly performing the rituals of a life guided by spirit, and see yourself falling, crumbling into the depth of hatred, despair, suffering, agony, of things you do not feel are in alignment with your truth. And this is really, they're trying to just bring our awareness to it, to let us remember, like, and to not feel bad, honestly, when it happens. They're saying that it's going to be crazy nutso, and there's going to be a lot of reasons to be triggered. There's going to be mean, bad things that happen that you're going to see or witness in the world, and you're going to have a polarized reaction to it, and it will be very hard to avoid that. And so what they want to do is say, be aware of yourself when you feel hatred, despair, suffering, agony, whatever it is. Take a moment, take a pause and say, oh, there it is. That's that feeling. And then they say, but these polarizing attitudes of your current reality are like gravity that wells up and devours that which passes near. So they're saying, like, don't be mad at yourself for having this moment. Like, notice it when it happens, but don't be like, oh my gosh, I'm losing it. I'm falling. I'm not on the spiritual path. What's happening to me? Why am I feeling this way? Because that then just compounds it. Instead say, okay, this is the moment. This is the time that we are in. We are in the process of healing. Notice what's happening. Notice your reaction and love yourself through it. Say, okay, I forgive myself. I recognize, I have this reaction, and not judge yourself, right? And they go on to say, and we wish to advise you to claim you for yourselves, to feel within the hatred that evolves, within the announcement of such revolution and chaos, of such transformative experiences. Do not be drawn into those torturous thoughts of polarizing nature. And I love that they added here that these such transformative experiences, they're reminding us that, these experiences, these things are happening, but they are for our highest and best, that even the worst things, the things that we look at and say, well, how can a loving God do this? How can they allow such a horrible thing to happen? We have to remember every single thing is about trying to help all of us get to this higher state of consciousness, right? That they are meant to be transformative experiences, every single one. So we have to stay in that space, right? Don't be drawn in to those thoughts. You can have them, acknowledge them, and go, there it is. I love myself. I'm having these thoughts, these feelings. They go on to say, feel yourselves in alignment with all beings, even the ones that are doing the bad stuff. Do not take sides. They say, do not feel yourself pulled into the mix. Be of a mind, of a placement of your heart, that all are equal and held in love. And it's like, how on earth do we do that when you see something awful happening, right? When you see like when a child is hurt, how do you not feel incredible emotion about that, right? What do you do with that is the question. And what they're saying here, and I love this next line, they say all beings should and will be allowed to transmute their darkest thoughts, to draw themselves forward onto a journey of clearly felt harmony. So this is when I say, when the angels don't judge us ever, they never, ever, ever judge us. They always see us as perfect, and they love us in all of our expressions. And they see us in the same way that you would not judge a child that can't yet drive a car. You won't judge the child and say, you can't drive a car yet, you're a dumb child. You would be like, no, that's normal, you're 2, you're still learning to walk, it's okay. Like, I love you at you're a 2-year-old. If you have had children, I've had children, my children are big, and they're in their 20s. And I look back and I remember them, and they're little, like, oh my gosh, at 3, 4, like, so cute. They're so cute. And they were not perfect, right? By any means, but boy, were they darling. And I think that is how angels look at us. They're like, yep, you're imperfect, but wow, are you cute? You guys are so cute. Yeah. But hear this part about everybody should be allowed the chance to transmute their darkest thoughts. And that's because everybody is sacred. Every single soul is sacred. And I had this question come up just recently when I was talking with someone who has a unique expertise of being able to work with really dark energies, of helping to clear people, and is extremely skilled at that. And we were talking about what happens to those dark energies during the shift. Like, where do they go? What happens to them? And what the angels showed me, which was just beautiful, is they showed me like really, really dark energies. And they showed me that it's not like they kill them, right? That doesn't happen. What they do is they bring them, it's almost like they take away, if you imagine that all the heaviness that they hold, all of the darkness that they hold, is just clothing. Right? And they're layered on piles and piles. Like, imagine the darkest being you can imagine. Piles of nasty old clothes, right? And they're just layered on like a ghillie suit, right? And the angel showed me that during this process, it's like all those clothes are taken off. And I saw it just whoosh, they're gone. And then they showed me the consciousness at the end of it. And the consciousness was this neutral being. That it was not evil, it was not angelic or good, or it was just neutral. It was just and they showed me the being almost like these big eyes blinking, like, where am I? Like waking up from a stupor. That was the feeling, like, oh my gosh. So it is, and this brings me back to the experience I had as I've been brought this new great guide, that the mother of creation, that her way of relating to everything in the world is the idea of renewal, of constant renewal. And so as we die and we go back to ourself, the idea is eventually we will go back and be renewed, and everything is brought into renewal. And so this is the idea with the darkest energy, is that it has the opportunity, it is given the opportunity to come back into its original birth state as a consciousness, as a being. And then from that state can recreate itself, hopefully, in a higher vibration. So when we look at everybody, including the darkest beings, and say, okay, through this process, they will also have their chance, right? All beings should and will be allowed to transmute their darkest thoughts, right? To take off the ghillie suit, right? To draw themselves forward onto a journey of clearly felt harmony. For those of you that don't know what a ghillie suit is, it's like a camouflage costume that's like covered in mess, like leaves and shreds and stuff like that, so that you can blend into the bushes. And my son actually wore one as a costume to school before. It is hilarious because they just blend right in, like they just pop out of a bush, But they're kind of nasty looking too, so that's why I thought of it. But but yeah, so to draw themselves forward onto a journey of clearly felt harmony, that everyone deserves that opportunity, because at our core, underneath the ghillie suit, that being is a being that has the potential to live in love. Yeah. And then the next paragraph I highlighted. They said, we wish to exclude no one, neither they who perpetrate great evil, nor those who are in opposition to said forms of action. We wish instead to draw all forms of life back to their center, to remind them of your pure soul as one being, and to draw from this a truth that brings equality back into your perspective of each other, and reminds one another that beauty exists in all creatures. So this is really about unity. How can we get to unity? How can we get to love, to understanding? Like it's that idea of how can we individually reach our highest state of consciousness unless we accept all parts of ourselves? How can humanity get to its own evolution into a higher state of being unless we accept all parts of humanity? And that doesn't mean that we accept evil. It means we transmute evil, that we love evil into its original self. Right? That we make space for evil to be felt so that we can help it to express itself, to know itself, to release those feelings and come back to its truth, which is that it is a divine being, right? That it comes from God, from source. Yeah. So, okay. So then they go on to say, and this we have found to be a difficult task when you are undergoing the deepest of transformations. And I love that acknowledgement that this is not easy to be in that environment and to just be like, okay, I love you, Hitler. It's not easy. It's not easy to do that. For all that is unearthed is not gentle, and there is yet darkness of an evil sort that exists within the hearts of humans. And this must be reflected in the chaos that will be seen. So they're not sugarcoating this. They're saying that we are going to see things in our world that are dark and that are really hard to see. But then they say, and this is how we get through it, they say, but loving energy balances all agony, all distrust, all violence comes into terms with itself upon the table that is graced with love. Oh, I love that line. And it makes sense that every being wants to be loved. And through that process, if they can learn to love themselves, right, then they come back into wholeness. And that's the journey. And so as we come to love ourselves, we then can reflect that love out into our world. And we can learn to take that path in between, the non-polarized state, and stay in the vibration of love and help those that are in polarity to feel loved, right? So that they can then come back into that vibration themselves. Yeah. They go on to say, if you can be the center point held in faith for yourself, if you can but find the polarizing dust settle to reveal your own passage through, be held in your own heart without fear. Do not get pulled into the dividing prospects of your near future. Fear not what shall occur, nor what shall be metered out from one upon another. And they go on to say, see yourselves as in dialogue with a human that is always at once. In other words, that we are humanity. We are trying to find unity, but within that unity, we have everything from the most beautiful expression of love to the worst, most difficult expression of hatred. We have all of it within this body that we are part of, right? As a beingness that exists for one purpose, and that is to love itself completely in all its forms and maladies. That's the goal for humanity, to love itself completely. That means everyone. That we got to get to a space where everyone is drawn back to us. Yeah. Wow. All right. And then they say, find your inner heartbeat and allow this truth to guide you. Allow yourself to heal your own division from each other. Fear not your disgust or revulsion for what shall occur. Fear not your own triumphant gaze upon the misfortunes of those who meet their justice. So in other words, they're saying that this might happen. You might find that you feel disgust or revulsion for some of the things that are going to happen in our world. You might find that you get a little moment of like, boy, that person deserved it when they meet their justice, right? You might have a moment where you're like, serves them right. And they're saying when that happens, if it does, don't judge yourself. Don't go down the rabbit hole of saying, I'm not on the spiritual path, I'm not good enough because I'm feeling these things. Say, know that this is, like I said, the polarization is like gravity and it's really hard not to feel it. They say, when it happens, don't fear it. Just notice it and be with yourself and love yourself through it. And recognize it's natural. It's natural because we are still where we are as humans. This is natural for us to go through this. Then they say, instead, then relinquish these polarizing thoughts for the peace within your own form and find your truth. So, and that is getting back into a state of love, recognizing that even those beings that you might feel like you want to judge, even they, at their core, are love. Down deep, they are love. They're just covered up by a bunch of stuff, right? And so they say, find peace, find your truth in injustice, in pure thought, in revolution, in all things of expression, always at once. They're saying in any which way it goes, we got to find our way through it from the perspective of love. Then they go on, next paragraph, they say, you find your harmony and the pathway is made clear. So once we are able to do that, once we find peace within, once we're in harmony, we're balanced inside, our masculine and feminine energies are balanced, our pathway is made clear. Be in peace with all that is. Be in faith with your own truth. Hear your own heartbeat. Judge nothing. Judge no one. Hear instead your own placement upon this earth as a beacon of light. So that is what we're meant to do, right? Rather than judging, hold the light. That's how we make it better. We sometimes think that when we judge, that it makes me think of like, like my stepdad, my dad, he was like the rule keeper on the freeway. If somebody, like I remember one time we were out somewhere and somebody sped by and he's like 80 and he's running out the street and he's like yelling at the person like, don't speed in our neighborhood. He's like the rule keeper for everyone. You know what I mean? He was like, he was going to make it, like he was going to make them behave. And it's funny because it's like, yeah, on some level, like I think when we go through our judgment, we kind of feel like it's our job to punish the people who have done wrong or to fix the ills of the world. And we want to do it by making them suffer or making them, locking them away or whatever it is, right? And they're saying that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to hold the light. That when we judge, we're going into a negative energy that pulls us away from our center because we're feeling, it doesn't feel good. Think about what judgment feels like. It feels terrible. Judgment feels yucky. And when you think about how you feel when you hold love, that's the truth. That is where we're meant to be. So when that comes up, recognize, I'm teetering this way, come back into love, focus on the love. That is how we heal it. That's how we get rid of the negative energies that we would really love to heal. Yeah. And they say, hear instead your own placement upon this earth as a beacon of light, as a beacon of faith, and trust your way forward. Your pathway is near. Be open to the vibrations within you. Allow yourself to be reached. And this is about the mantle that we're wearing, right? The coat that we're wearing, which is this higher vibration that we're receiving right now. We just haven't fully integrated, but they're asking us to be open to the vibrations. Allow yourself to be reached. And we do that when we are aligned with our higher truth, which means being in love, right? And not in polarity. That's how we open. So, and within the space of the beyond, of conjecture, which means we don't really know what it is, right? We have to kind of guess about what it's going to be like, our beautiful future we're moving toward, the space of the beyond. You will find yourself reunited into the trust of one another, and all forms shall be met in equality. So just a beautiful message, you guys. Absolutely beautiful. And it really is about, we talk about wanting, equality in the world but the way we do it is by not judging others. It's by loving them, loving everyone. And it doesn't mean that it's literally by holding that energy ourselves, we raise the consciousness of the planet. And it's all about the energy. You guys know that, but boy, do they say it beautifully, huh? So let's see what you guys are saying. So, you are adding, where are we? This is a message to repeat weekly or as needed over the next coming month. Lisa, I love that. I think so too. It's such a good reminder. So many of these things, it's like we've heard often about like love thy neighbor, but this is just adds a lot more detail, a lot more context, understanding it from just a much broader perspective than I think humanity has really ever been ready for. Yeah. And you're saying you asked your husband to go see that movie tonight. That is awesome. Yeah, it is. I thought it was fun. And it's just so cool to see the near-death experience showing up in our popular culture. I thought that is amazing. And then Debbie says, does anyone remember that song by the 5 Stair Steps? Oh, child, things are going to get easier. Oh, I love that. That is a great song for today. We should put that one as our anthem for the day. Thank you so much. Yeah. And then Mike says, for me, we are the angels in our original creative form. Beautiful. And Gigi says, a quote from NDE, Bill McDonald, give me the tools I need, let me do the work. Yeah. And you, let's see here. What else you say? So Lynette says, I keep getting the song, Don't Worry, Don't Worry. Heaven has a beautiful plan for you. Yes. For me, at our core, we are an atomic structure that bears and holds the light. And Mike says, just like a star. And Ronnie says, as I said earlier, follow the straight and narrow. Yep. Sherry says, it's getting ahead of the fear of attachments and allowing the act of loving, connecting, and becoming one with each other. That dang ego. Yeah. And Mike says, LOL, good on him about my dad. Yeah, he's a great guy. And then Urs says, all forms are met with equality. Wow. Yeah, right? I know. I love that. Adrian says, perfect and beautiful message. Thank you so much, Adrian. And Gloria says, yes, this is a beautiful message. Thank you so much, Gloria. Rebecca, hey, Rebecca, happy Friday Live. Checking in late. Have a great night. Rebecca's in the middle of a move, so thank you for being here. Appreciate you making the time for it. And Sharon says, I love that we are all love at the core. Yeah, it is a really, really, like, I feel like in this message, I think more than ever before, I really have the feeling of humanity as one being. And that's the difference, is the feeling of like this idea that every single person on this planet is that we are all meant to combine into one being. And in the same way that inside of yourself, you have all these different parts of you that are kind of vying for expression. In our world, we have all these different parts of us that are vying for expression. And if we can honor them in the same way that we would need to honor ourselves, then we all heal and we all move through these feelings. They have to be experienced. They have to be expressed because they're part of us. And it's part of us moving gradually higher and higher and higher in our expression as divine being, as a divine being of humanity, right? And Don says, here's where I struggle. Is it okay to step away from people who are evil and pray for them from afar? Absolutely. Absolutely. Doesn't mean you can love them. Doesn't mean you have to like them. And that's the difference. I'm so glad you asked that. Yeah, you can absolutely love them. And, oh, it looks like there's an issue with my live. Can you guys hear me? Well, I'm going to keep on going here. But yeah, you can like them or you can love them, but you don't have to like them. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so grateful that you are here. Sending you tons of love, and I will see you guys next Friday Live. Bye, you guys.